All right, it's been a while since we've done a Ghostbusters segment. That's what we're going to do today, a Ghostbusters segment. You guys seem to be interested in the props that I show you, in particular questions about the builds you have, so maybe I can answer some of them. But we're going to be looking at a couple of belt gizmos. Now, if you don't know what belt gizmos are, on all the Ghostbusters costumes for Ghostbusters 1, 2, Afterlife, Frozen Empire, they have a little device that is on their left hip, based on the Sanyo 808D calculator. And this was a calculator that used these little Nixie tubes at the top of it. The numbers would go in. It was a very old calculating device. And basically, these were turned into these little devices. Purpose unknown. People think it's like a power regulator or a grounding surface or something, or a grounding device rather. In the series, the real Ghostbusters, it was used to contact the Ecto or something like that, or to control it. But for this point, we're just going to look at what your options are out there. Now, not a lot of people make them. No officially licensed ones exist. At this point, there's you could grab some off of Etsy, but they're poorly inspired by the original design. The best ones that we have seen out there are either made by Ecto Labs or Spongeface, which is Ghost Lab 42, I believe is his other name. Oddly enough, Spongeface actually made them for Afterlife. So if you're trying to get an Afterlife belt gizmo, you cannot get a more accurate one than the one Spongeface makes. And I still believe he said he wasn't going to do any more runs, but he did a run recently. And I think there might be some in stock, so I'll put up a link for those. But what we're going to be checking out here is the Ecto Labs ones. Now, this is one of their older versions. They have a newer version that has the browned sort of vintage calculator panel, which is more accurate. I couldn't get my hands on one of those. They're just really hard to get. They only sell like 10 at a time, and they sell out in like less than a fraction of a second. And then we are also going to take a look at the Spongeface one, which is based on the 84 design as well. Probably the most accurate one you can get on the market. And then we're going to take a look at the GB2 ones as well. And for that one, I have both the Ecto Labs and the Spongeface, which would be a little harder to get a hold of, the Spongeface one. The problem is with the GB2 ones, there was no real model, because the only ones that we have images of anywhere are the stunt boards. So no one really knew if there was a actual like hero belt gizmo for GB2. So it was foam, there were some components on it. It was really beat up. It's hard to tell what is really accurate, but I think these two producers did a pretty good job of capturing the core elements, and we'll show you in a minute what that looks like. But yeah, why don't we bring you guys in close and I'll run you through some of the parts here. Okay, I'm going to start you off with the Ecto Labs 808D calculator. Initially they had a green board. Like I said, I don't have the new brown one, but you can see it captures all the basic designs of the original Sanyo. Has all the little nodes and transistors and wires, and then it has these little chipsets. Now these are 3D printed. You glue these on top of these essentially. This here is, I think, plasti dip and 3D printed, and you just kind of solder that in. Soldering is required. You could do a glue, because most of these aren't functional, but I don't think it does it justice, because you want these little nodes on here, because there were some soldered points on there as well. So you really need to, if you want to capture that look, you need some basic soldering skills. Now down here they have a little screw attachment, so you could attach your shaver cord to put on your daughter board. There's two options. You could get the Afterlife board, which looks more like this, or you could get the 84 board, which looks more like this here. So whichever one you want to put on there, you have that option to essentially to do that. So what I like about the Ecto Labs ones is they have a fun little options for the color scheme. So I'm going to turn this on here. So here's the pattern where you can see it terminates with the E-box there. So you could change the color scheme to a whole variety of different colors. And then you could change up the speed here. Strobe effect, flashing effect, and then the rainbow pattern. So I will say the Ecto Labs one, a lot more color options, a lot more colorful in general, but a lot of the same components here. And I'm going to compare, and I don't have the newest one, so this is not particularly fair to compare and contrast. And this one is on my belt. I can't really take it off because of the way the holster is set up on the Spongeface one. You kind of have to slide it into a little sling there, you see, and then the battery is embedded into the holster. It's a pain to take out, but you can see the components are essentially the same. They really nailed it. Now on the latest version, Ecto Labs, I think on the website, tells you that he made his newest version with inspiration from the Spongeface model. So he's sort of, there's some kind of agreement there. So he's really copying a lot of what he had there. So it should be very, very similar. So this was the same. It came, this one you had a plasti dip yourself, as opposed to a coming plasti dip from Ecto Labs. The shaver cord you have to actually glue on. There is no screw. And the rest of it looks exactly the same. You have all those little nodes there, just like you do here. No real difference there. This is metal. This is 3D printed. On the new version, it is metal on the Ecto Labs. So if you see one of those come out, you can grab that metal. You're going to have to paint that yourself, though. And then basically, when you turn this one on, it has a little bit of a different sequence. So you could make this go faster, and you can make it go slower, but you can't change the colors. Eventually the error box, there it goes. So I can make it go faster. I can make it go slower. I kind of like it in medium. But yeah, you can't change the colors, and that's the only downside to this. But this is the most accurate version you could get, definitely, from the Spongeface. Now, the only problem is he doesn't sell his with the 84 daughter board. So I just borrowed it from my Ecto Labs one. So that's kind of the downside, trying to get yourself an 84 daughter board. But you could probably grab one just from an electronic shop and just put a whole bunch of parts in it, or get one that it looks very similar. Yeah, that's sort of the trick. And a lot of those were even different from individual to individual. So that is our quick look there at the two daughter boards, the 808Ds, and that is, or I'm sorry, motherboards. So that is going to be Spongeface on your left, my right here, and then the Ecto Labs one. So this is the original version. You can't get this anymore. This is green, so now it's this color, the brown. But the components, I don't think, have shifted between the two. If you go look on the website, very similar. And, you know, to me, this is the best you're going to possibly get. Because even the Afterlife one is based on the 84. They just kind of changed the daughter board. So the one Ecto Labs offers is the same one. You could just choose which daughter board you want. So the main part has not changed between 84 and Afterlife, but the daughter board has. So, okay, that is our look at the GB1. Let's get over to our GB2. And here we have our Ecto Labs GB2 belt gizmo. You can see the holster that you could buy from him is a little bit different than the GB1 holster. It's more bulbous than square rectangular. So, you know, you can tell from the photo here, there wasn't much to go off of when you're trying to make this as a prop. I think he did a pretty good job, though. He captured this little color scheme down here in the bottom. I don't know why he has the purple and whatnot up here. That was kind of weird, but that's just part of his kit. So we'll turn this one on here. There's not a lot to it. You can see it's a very simple surface. And then you could have a very similar pattern to what you had on the previous one. Now, what you could do is you could change colors, obviously, like the other one. You can see that red light flashes every time I change a color. Or you can change patterns. I feel like there's a lot more in this one than the other one, and it goes all the way back to that rainbow pattern. So just a little bit more options in there than you had with the other one. And you can see the little parts in there. And this is metal, so just like he upgraded the other one, he upgraded this one to metal. I got this little gaffer's tape on here to keep it from scratching inside the holster. But the battery itself is embedded onto the board, which is great. So you don't have to clip it onto the back of the holster like you do with the other ones. And then you got your daughter board. So the daughter board, a little busy here, a little bit more busy, I want to say, than the actual belt holster or the belt gizmo itself. So now let's take a look at our Spongeface one. So the Spongeface one, again, very similar to the base design. This is a little bit of a thicker wire gauge on here. He doesn't have the colors here. He just went with these transistors instead. This part very similar, this part a little bit different. But again, there's no real established standard here. So everyone's just kind of guessing what it looks like. He's got the switch part in there. The same little set at the top. Different color wires here, same Nixie tubes, and the error box in his, let me see, here's the switch. Again, it has the same colors, or the same pattern that you could do with the other one. It just kind of goes across. You can't change the colors. I don't think you could even change the pattern on this one. You could just speed it up. So there you go, there's your error box. And that's really it. I mean, that's all you could do with this one. So, you know, this one, since it's not really based on anyone has a really good record of what this looks like, I prefer the Ecto Labs because it just has a lot more colors. It's a lot more fun. It's just, you know, and honestly, I just think it makes the costume a little bit more fun too. So something to think about. You got that, you know, you could buy the holster with it too when he offers it, and then you get them as a set. Spongeface didn't have the holster. I had to buy this off Etsy. So I think that's a better option there. And if you want to compare the daughter boards, I mean, he just used larger parts, I feel like, as opposed to what we saw Ecto Labs use. So this is the Spongeface here, and this is the Ecto Labs here. So again, very, very similar in their designs, but I kind of like the fun little feature of the extra lights on the Ecto Labs. So they both mount the same way. You can see, well, it might be covered up here, but basically you solder it on. There's a little panel on the back, and this one you're just kind of looping through the wire. So you're looping it through here, and it holds itself in place. Same with this one here. You just kind of loop it through, and it holds itself in place. But with the daughter board, I think I soldered, yep, soldered in place. So again, soldering is needed. He offers a version where he solders all the electrical components, and I think that makes it a lot easier if you're not good with soldering. And then you can glue the rest with a hot glue gun. I highly, highly recommend doing a little basic YouTube search on how to solder, because it's going to come out a lot neater and a lot nicer when you do it that way, and you'll be much happier with it. But these are what's available out there on the market. I'll have some links up. All of these kind of run around the same price, anywhere between $150 and $200. So just something to think about. They are very complicated, but what's really hard here is these Nixie tubes. The Nixie tubes you get to outsource from one place in the world. I think that's Ukraine. They're hard to find. These were like Soviet era Nixie tubes. They do not really exist anymore, other than just a few parts in the world. So at some point we're going to run out of these, and you're not going to be able to make these things anymore unless you buy them from someone else that has made one. So something to think about, invest in now while you still can, if you want a somewhat of an accurate board to go with your costume. All right, well, we hope you enjoyed this look at these awesome belt gizmos. It's again from Spongeface and Ecto Labs. Ecto Labs is based in the UK. Spongeface is based here in America. So you're going to have to pay shipping depending on that as well. So something to factor in. Like I said, they go anywhere between $150 and $250 depending on what you're getting. Are you getting like the holsters that are leather? Are you getting the shipping? All those things will factor in, so they could be a little bit more expensive. But these are premium quality. These are proper replicas. These are not toys, so they're not plastic. They're not 3D printed. So, I mean, this one had a 3D printed Nixie shelf, but now they're metal. So these are all actual, you know, resistors and actual bulbs on here, and actual everything is the Nixie tubes. They're the real Nixie tubes. Like these are all real components. So for the price you're getting, a lot of it is the materials. They're very expensive to source a lot of these. They've only gotten more expensive over the years. So, you know, I would recommend getting a little bit of experience with soldering. Very simple connections you're going to have to make, but in particular the electrical ones are really important. So you're going to want to get yourself a basic soldering kit and some, you could probably buy one for 30, 40 bucks that will come with some solder. It will come with some flux paste. It'll come with some tip tinner. All that kind of stuff will be in the kit, and it even come with a little brass cloth brush thing to clean it off the tip. So those kits are about 40 bucks at Home Depot. You could do a little soldering research online and you can get it. They're not that complicated. This will take like a weekend for you to put together, depending on your experience with soldering. It's just a lot. You're also going to have to paint that Nixie shelf in order to get that looking really nice on there. Or you can leave it unpainted if you want a you know, aluminum look. I think it was painted on the originals though. So, you know, personal preference. So grab these now. The Ecto Labs ones only come in and out of stock, so you have to sign up for his website, look for the announcements, and then grab them. The GB2 one, a lot easier to get than the GB one. I've been trying for over a year now, maybe 2 years, and I have not been able to get one of these after I got one of his originals. The newest one, almost impossible to get. The Spongeface one, oddly enough, is still available. At least it was earlier this week. I'll put the link up. It just surprised me that it hasn't sold out instantly because it's the gold standard in this belt gizmo. And he said a couple years ago after Afterlife, he said, I'm not doing anymore. This is the last run. And then last year, he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to do one more run. So everyone jumped on it. And I'm just surprised it hasn't sold out yet. Maybe not a lot of people know. So hopefully this helps you know that and you can get ahead of the game here and grab one for yourself. But you're not going to regret it. It's a great kit. It looks absolutely amazing on your belt. You get the holster with it too. It could hold the battery in the holster. You don't even see that. It just looks phenomenal on there. If you want, it comes with, like I said, it comes with the Afterlife daughter board, and I misplaced that here. It comes with the Afterlife daughter board, but if you want a daughter board that is more to 84, you're gonna have to figure that out. So I kind of like scavenged it from my other kit here from Ecto Labs, but you're gonna have to figure that out for you if you want to do an 84. Otherwise, you're doing Afterlife, which isn't bad. I think Afterlife was great either way. So that is our latest look at Ghostbusters stuff. We'll have more throughout the year. We love Ghostbusters here. Of course, hopefully if we get the Plasma Series Ecto 1 by the end of the year, if it stays on task, we'll definitely show that off, and maybe some other great things between now and then. Who knows? We'll see. So that's all for this time. Like, subscribe, and follow. See you guys next time.